Turning 40 didn't bother me the way people said it would. But around that same time, something did happen I wasn't expecting. Younger men started asking me to mentor them. I didn't see that coming. They wanted to talk about career decisions, money, marriage, parenting, real life stuff. And while I had mentored groups of high school guys when I was in my 20s, I'd never done anything one on one like this before. Up until that point, I had been in groups where someone had mentored a group of us. They were helpful, but they were also safe. I could blend in, I could just listen. I could avoid saying anything that might make me look foolish or unfinished. But then one day I was sitting across from a young man who was being brutally honest about some hard things that he was facing. And a thought struck me. How can I expect to lead someone else if I'm not getting help discovering what I don't know as well? As I sat with that question, I realized something really uncomfortable. It wasn't busyness that was holding me back from finding a mentor, and it wasn't even access. I knew plenty of older, wiser men. It was pride. I didn't want to let someone close enough to point out my blind spots. I didn't want my weaknesses named. I liked the illusion, emphasis on illusion, that I had things mostly figured out. Upon more reflection, I realized I had a great job, but in a very volatile industry that could change overnight. I had a strong marriage, but I wasn't bulletproof. And I also had kids approaching their teenage years, and honestly, I had no idea what I was doing as a father. I had too much to lose not to get outside perspective. So I decided to find a mentor. I reached out to a man about 15 years older than me, someone in a similar industry, somebody that I respected. And he told me no. He said he was uncomfortable being over someone else in a relationship. He preferred peer. Now that I've been on both sides of these mentoring relationships, that makes me a little sad for that guy. Not because he missed out on mentoring me, but because he missed out on the mentoring itself as a gift. It's not a one-way street. As a mentor, I'm challenged to walk what I talk. I'm forced to stay honest, and I get the gift of hearing perspectives from younger people that sharpen me as a leader. Now, after being turned down, I was a little gun shy, but I kept looking. A few weeks later, I ran into a well-respected man I barely knew at a conference. After reintroducing myself, I told him about my experience so far in searching for a mentor. Our interaction was affirming enough for me to ask if he'd be willing to meet. He asked a few more thoughtful questions, and then he said, "Hey, let's give it a try." And we met every other Sunday night at a coffee shop for over a year. I still have my notes from that time, and I quote him often. Now, over the years, I've had several mentors. Some were formal like that, some informal. But every single one of them has shaped me in ways that books and videos never could. And that's the point. If you lead at work, at home, or anywhere else, you must first lead yourself. Airlines tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others, and leadership works the same way. If you want to lead well, make sure you're first leading yourself well. To do this, books matter, podcasts matter, YouTube matters. But your growth will always be limited without someone farther down the road who's lived what you're about to face. Additionally, studies show that people in the workplace being mentored are promoted 5 times the rate of everyone else. And more interesting than that to me is that mentors are promoted at 6 times the rate. Looking back, the greatest risk I was taking wasn't asking somebody for help. It was pretending that I didn't need it. If you're leading others but avoiding being led yourself, I would encourage you to reconsider. There's too much at stake in your work and your family with your integrity to go alone. Put your own oxygen mask on first by leading yourself well before you lead others. Humility becomes a bigger and bigger deal the higher and higher up you go in any organization, and being mentored or even coached helps grow your humility. I'd love to hear your experiences being mentored or even coached. Feel free to respond below, and if you want to discuss some helpful resources in this area, just send me a message and we can connect.